We're not walking around smiling all day. We stand in line in the supermarket and we get frustrated in traffic. We worry about our children and we have difficult days like everyone else. But I do think that underneath that ordinary life, there's often a sense of that life is manageable.
Global wellness industry has commercialized Danish words like Hygge. From a psychotherapist perspective that you are, what deep structural work is being ignored when people treat Danish happiness as just a lifestyle trend?
Well, it's not aesthetic, it's a structure. Hygge and happiness, that is emotional safety. It is belonging without performance. My first book was actually the reason that Hygge and everything about Denmark and happiness became a thing.
I noticed that kids in Denmark, while they are in the kindergarten, they are like very often they are wearing things in particular because they are going out in the mud, like literally they are full of mud and jumping in the mud, playing with each other. Like it's a normal thing for in Denmark and for them as well.
We value free play a lot. That is a huge part of being a child. And when I think about my most happy childhood memories, I think about me being outside in summer, just playing freely and giving children access to this, even though it's in kindergarten. We know the value of being outside, exploring mud by your hands and jumping in water puddles and climbing trees. Children learn when they explore life through play.
Hello, Iben Sandahl.
I'm very, very pleased to be here.
I'm quite sure that quite a lot of people knows you already.
Well, of course, I have two young adult daughters, Ida and Julie, and they both moved away from home and live independently. And that is a transition. That is a new phase of my life, which takes up a lot of thoughts and, thinking about, hey, well, this is the time that's over, but I'm always a mother and how to be in this new role, which is also very fantastic. Thinking a lot about, balance, how we can be in balance and what it contains. And
Iben, you have stated that when Danes are told they are the happiest people in the world, they smile because it feels neither fully recognizable nor wrong. What is the hidden psychological layer behind that smile, though? Because I always have been so curious about that.
well, we're not walking around smiling all day.
No, definitely.
Thing. And we stand in line in the supermarket and we get frustrated in traffic and we worry about our children and we have difficult days like everyone else. But I do think that underneath that ordinary life, there's often a sense of that life is manageable. If something goes wrong, many of us trust that there will be help available. We trust our institutions more than most countries.
True, I heard, yeah.
Yeah. And we generally trust each other. And we trust that children gradually learn to handle challenges. And we trust that difficult periods are part of life rather than signs of life is failing. So I think this creates emotional climate, a different emotional climate. And happiness becomes less about feeling good all the time and more about feeling, how to say that, safe enough to handle what comes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think that we see ourselves as the happiest, but I might agree with we might see ourselves as the less unhappy. I don't know.
Well, I'm just curious again, because among other beautiful things behind the why you are here today, Iben, with me, is because I noticed that kids in Denmark, while they are in the kindergarten, they are like very often, not constantly, very often they are wearing things because they are going out in the mud, like literally they are full of mud and jumping in the mud, playing with each other, like completely so in such a relaxing and um, normal. It's a normal thing for in Denmark and for them as well. And it's like I'm just curious if you could be so kind to explain us why is that, and from where actually to what it connects to the more to the playfulness of getting the kids of being and feeling more secure just and therefore that means also creating that inner trust that they may have that when they will grow up or what.
Well, first of all, so we value free play a lot. That is a huge part of being a child. And when I think about my most happy childhood memories, I think about me being outside in the summer, just playing freely, alone or with friends, or, running in the dunes by the sea, or picking up four leaf, and, just being around and giving children access to this, even though it's in kindergarten. We know the value of being outside, exploring mud by your hands, and you jumping in water puddles and climbing trees. So there's a lot uh, children learn when they explore life through play. And we're not that afraid of like bacteria or anything like that, but we do understand, which goes many, many years back, and we lean ourselves into the Lev Vygotsky, a Russian psychologist, who explains the zone of proximal development. That hey, when your child is out playing and doing different stuff with other peers or by themselves, they're testing boundaries. They're testing their own like comfort zone. What I am like available, what the proximal zone,
Capable of, yeah, in the sense.
the zone of proximal development is simply, the space between what a child can do alone and what they can do with a little support. And if we do everything for them, and if we don't allow them to like go out and play and do things by their own, uh, um, they don't grow. So if I think it's so important that we remove every obstacle, because then they will never discover their own strength. So safety, of course, is always important, but overprotection and safety are not the same thing, So
That's such a good
it,
point. What about those kids that they are a mix of might be Danish and another country? I noticed that sometimes a lot of Danes have this inner fear, even quite, I would say, quote out loud, that they have to speak Danish or mainly or only Danish. What is this? What is the idea behind this? Fear kind of allow me. I don't know what exactly is because you might know better than me to explain it.
I know quite a few, and they have grown up with like a Danish mother, Danish father, and then a parent from another country, and then they speak each their original language with their children. So they grow up with both, languages. What would be the reason if parents, if Danish parents, they protect Danish language? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good question. I never thought about it. I never heard about that before. I think there might be, if I should choose something, values, some Danish, I don't know, ways of pronunciation or understanding or um, I don't know, differences in language and understanding that they want to continue to.
Perceive. Yeah, I just think that since Denmark it's a really really small country, and it has literally, I have talked with so many other previous guests about this, being so small, and it has such a strong but really strong and powerful culture, literally. And I think probably because I'm not a Dane, probably it's because they want to keep really in a really good place, rooted that culture and not contaminated, because I heard about this contamination keyword again here and there, a little bit everywhere, talking about this matter, about this theme. So that's, I'm just supposing that might be because of that, because Denmark being so small, and the rate of birth, it actually decreased, as I heard. I'm not sure, you can correct me please. So again, probably also all these elements might include or be connected.
But I do think that Denmark is a very small country, and we are not that many people. So we and a lot of people are moving to Denmark from everywhere.
I heard, yeah.
And so if you walk around in Copenhagen, you rarely hear Danish because there's a lot
True.
of visitors, and we love that and appreciate that, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But yeah, there might be like an underlying fear that if if our children, they don't grow up speaking, Danish, something very important will disappear. Our way we communicate with each other, the details in our language. There's a lot of value, I think, and meaning in everything we carry with us as
I noticed.
I do think that for a very small country, might be a little more at stake. I'm not sure, but that might be like a reason. But all the people, all the families I know, they are just equal. Of course, there are children, they speak Danish when they are in schools or kindergartens, etc., because that's what they need to do most places. And at home, they might be with their mom or dad, which is not from Denmark, speak the language to them. So it's like both languages they speak in families.
Global wellness industry has commercialized Danish words like hygge. From a psychotherapist perspective, what deep structural work is being ignored when people treat Danish happiness as just a lifestyle trend?
Well, it's not aesthetic. It's a structure. Uh, hygge and happiness, that is emotional safety. It is belonging without performance. So my first book was actually the reason that hygge and everything about Denmark and happiness became a thing. Um, and lots of books have been written about the concept of hygge, togetherness afterward. But to me, it has nothing to do with candles and, as I said, aesthetics or, well,
Please, for others who might actually don't know anything at all about Denmark or Danish culture, most importantly, can you please explain what actually it means from a Dane point of view, hygge, so people actually knows the deep meaning of it?
yeah, it is like a space you can have with yourself, and you can have it with other people. It is, yeah, it's an atmosphere, it's an energy, it's a place where you don't have to have your guards up.
Yeah.
It's when I try to explain it, it is emotional safety. It's when you feel like, this is this is just a balance. I'm in balance. I feel good here. I feel seen, I feel valued, I feel heard. Not necessarily, but just the atmosphere is just relaxing, not even relaxing. It's just a place where you can feel that you belong, a state, an inner state. It's not about, the correct sofa and candles and tea. Well, yeah, that can be, but it can also be on
It's
more.
just a part of it, right, Iben, and not just all of it. Not
Yeah,
just it's it.
and it exists in every country. I mean, it's just we had a word for it, and I wrote a chapter about it, and then you
Really.
know, but it's something that we find with other people that we love or we care about or we
We
feel safe.
connect as such. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it can come in all kinds of moments, small or big. But often there's a lot of pressure, like Christmas Eve or birthday parties, and and now we're going to Hygge now. So like already there are a lot of expectations. Like, okay, I have to behave in a specific. We don't Hygge. Like your mother-in-law says, now we're going to now we're finally seeing each other, and now we're going to Hygge. It's like, oh, so what kind of Hygge do you mean? So when you feel like Hygge is Hygge, no, it's not like that. It is just, we just we're just together. We have no expectations. We might set a frame, or doing things that I you know what I do, things that I love. I'm a giver, and I do that. So I like to set a nice setting, and but that's because that's how I am. But it's not connected, necessarily connected to Hygge. It's more what we or I create in that moment.
Of course. Actually, I would like to share another funny thing since I'm living in Denmark as well. I love Denmark, really. During the year, the whole year, we don't have so much sun, right? So sunshine and heat from the sun, light, etc., which is so beneficial from so many points of view. So when actually you really have that unique day when the sun is out, everyone just stop doing anything at all, even if they're at work, and just go out in the sun, like literally. I know it sounds like nothing, but it's so funny.
Absolutely, absolutely. Copenhagen and bigger cities, especially, are of course by the sea, is like crazy, and there's so many beautiful spots in Copenhagen and Aarhus, places where you can sit, and you can take a swim, and but there's it's like small ants everywhere.
I mean, it could be also included as part of it of Hygge. So again, that's why there are many things, as you just said, explained a minute ago. There's so many things that has to be included in this beautiful, wonderful, powerful word Hygge. You grow up in Aarhus, and later on, you build your practice in Copenhagen. How did you move between these distinct Danish environments, because they are different, actually shape your early understanding of human connection and emotional safety?
Well, first of all Aarhus is an amazing city.
Yes.
Hygge in Aarhus. So I think growing up in Aarhus gave me community and simplicity somehow, where Copenhagen exposed me to greater diversity and
Interesting.
yeah, and both places taught me that people thrive when they feel that they belong. So I think that what I can consume it down to is that human connection matters more than status or achievements. And you can achieve that everywhere. So human connection for me is not a specific place. It is where we feel that we belong. So I never went back to Aarhus, and I stayed here because I educated myself here, and I got a family, and but my mom still lives in Aarhus.
Even if happiness in Denmark isn't a constant state of euphoria, because it isn't, how do you define it through the lens of narrative therapy?
Mm, yeah. Well, I would say that narrative psychotherapy, as I'm trained in, taught me that happiness is a story we're able to tell about our lives.
True.
So life contains hardships, of course, for everyone. Um, but the question is whether suffering becomes our identity or simply part of our story. So happiness, I think, is flexibility in the stories we tell about ourselves,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
yes.
Yeah, we can say because often we become the problem. I am not good enough. I am a diseaser. I am, you know, so we become the problem. And if we have a lot of problems, we're not that happy.
Mm.
Uh, so what is very important is that we learn how to separate identity from behavior. Um, for example, also with our children, a child can be having a hard time without us being a bad parent. Uh, a simple, a simple example could be that when our child comes home from school or kindergarten and says, "Oh, nobody wanted to play with me today." One response could be, "That sounds hard. I wonder what happened." Another response is, "You always have trouble making friends." So the first response keeps the problem outside the child. Something difficult happened today, huh? The second response slowly turns the problem into their identity. So now the child is not having a difficult experience. The child becomes difficult child. So that is why I pay so much attention to language. Language is never just language. I think it is a lens through which we understand ourselves and
Yeah,
each other. So,
exactly.
and the moment we stop asking what is wrong with me,
Yeah.
we much more available to our children, and then happiness, you know, we foster more happiness.
Yeah. Even you just said it like a minute ago. Narrative therapy operates on the principle that the person is not the problem. The problem is the problem, right? You just said it. So, how does a highly stressed parent practicates or separates their identity, as we just said, from their children behavioral issues? How can they do that? How can they do so?
Well, by using externalizing questions, being curious, always being curious, because I mean, if we, so what did you say? You said that if we are like, and very stressed, and we want to, ah, and so remember all the time that um, when we label our children, they become, well, labels become mirrors.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. So children build, if we say, "You stop now, you're too much," or "You're always like mm, blah 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 blah." I don't even have so many words on doing that. But children build identity through repeated stories. So you're always the noisy one, or you are always screaming and creating problems, or when we come home from kindergarten. Uh, or you're so difficult, or, these labels. Uh, and difficult becomes who I am. So we have to be better at describing behavior, of course, and not identity. So what I see you're doing right now, you are having a hard time, or you instead of like you are anxious, so you are having a right time right now. Can I do anything for you? Or so we in our language, in how we approach our children, we externalizing, that they are not the problem. The problem is the problem, and that is the behavior we're focusing on. And so it helps ourselves as well as parents, because we can use it towards ourselves as well. So I am freaking out right now. I am so stressed right now. I, like, remember to like breathe and say, I need a moment right now. Hey, I'll be back. I will be near you, but I'm like, I'm having a hard time myself right now, and I need to just take a small step back, and and take some deep breaths, and then I'll come back to you. So when we externalize our language, it becomes much easier to be who we are, because we are not that bad kid or that bad parent. We're just having a hard time right now. And that is totally different. The problem with when we label a lot, and we become these problems, is that we carry them, and children carry them to them.
From all their lives, yes, because
Right. So when something happens in school, this sentence inside will just tell him, "Oh, well, it's because I am like that." And we carry that. That's the work I do with both children, adolescents, and adults in my therapeutic work. Um, so we all carry these sentences with us of who we are in a negative way. I never met anyone who's like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm perfect." Well, maybe that's the one. So they are so defining for us. And if we are not aware of our own internal sentences, our own labels, our own like, this is my belief about myself, we like stop growing, we stop being curious, we stop like believing in our own abilities. So we have to like, of course, figure out first, hey, what am I carrying myself? And because underneath everything, whatever we carry, we come to pass on to our children if we don't create some kind of consciousness about, oh, this is what I how I mirror myself, and I come um to pass it on, or to give my children that picture of themselves, if we are not aware of our own patterns, which is very, very difficult. And that's the reason why we talk about shadow work. We can't always see them, but when we become parents, they mirror us. They mirror us, and very often you're like, oh, mm, mm, you are, don't corrupt me, and don't do that. So we react, but we should actually, that's my approach. I do that. Like, I'm very grateful for those situations where my children, they mirror me, because I like, oh, really?
it
What?
hits you.
And I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. I did I really say that? It's so funny because recently I spent time with I was a teacher for many years, but it's many years ago, and there was a reunion, and I it was long time since I've seen these wonderful students, and they mirrored me. I was crying, laughing, because I was like, I always like walked around and did like this up their back, which my daughters always told me that because I want them to sit like, not like, but sit like
straight.
that. I did that with them. I walked around in the class and I did like up like their back and like made them like sit properly. So that was so fun. So I mean, we all carry a lot with us and different patterns and some. So it's just consciousness around what
Awareness, consciousness.
what we bring with us, and it can be difficult, but we should actually really listen when our spouse or best friend or our children tell us, you always do this. Oh, I do. And then try when we get triggered, like really to be kind towards ourselves and not afraid. Trust is so important. Trust in yourself, trust that it's okay, and believe that everything will work out. We don't have to fight all the time. We don't have to like take every battle and defend ourselves. Or, I mean, you are amazing. You are good enough. You are just as you should be. And I know that everyone is already doing their best all the time. And what I appreciate very, very much is that I love growing. I love developing myself. I'm so curious. And the worst thing my husband can tell me is like, I'm like that. Period.
Oh my goodness. When I hear that sentence, I'm sorry, guys, but this is not in every way. When you say I am like that, is the worst, and I mean the worst, and I take again full responsibility seriously, is the worst thing that you can do for yourself, literally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every way. No, there is no good on using or even thinking on that sentence, because it doesn't give you anything, just an excuse to continue to be the old version of yourself like you have been until, I don't know, might be a year, 5 years, or 10 years, etc. So there is no space for improvement. There is no space for new. Throw away the old stuff that you don't identify anymore with, and then make space for the things that you might actually embrace or think or feel, perceive that actually might be the right time to just grab them and make them yours, belongs to you. This is how.
But I do think that fear drives a lot of this. I think that we also have to acknowledge that people are afraid of what comes up, and
Yes. The unknown, but it doesn't occur yet. So why you are afraid? That's why, as you have mentioned, Iben, we have to be like very much, so much into the awareness more constantly, awareness and attention to what actually triggers us, because those triggers, inner triggers, are within us. It's not quite, it is connected to what happens around us as an external world, okay, even though might be children, whatever, but it's just a trigger. So that what is happening within you might be emotions or thoughts, whatever, or mentally, it's because it's already inside you, and that triggers that thing within you. So you should look inside you and have that curiosity and look for it, like for the answers, like why I'm feeling that way and not in the other way, why I'm thinking or having that thought instead of the other thought, why I'm thinking negative instead of positive.
But I think that the brain develops around experience and meaning, and this is our way of being in this world. And I work with families as a family counselor, family psychotherapist all day. And I also respect that we are in this world differently and we look through different lenses.
Yes, definitely.
My perspective, my way of being in the world is not something for everyone. And maybe not all have been, raised in a way where they understand this kind of language. But I do think that most people, they want to be happy. They want to have like a good life. But they are still afraid of the consequences of when they start to look, because consequences are often the number two thing that happens. It's like,
Yeah, because it has a price, leaving behind what you knew, what you had, etc.
yeah,
And yeah.
exactly. And if you start to like, okay, my husband is always doing this, blah, 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 or I'm always, it's always easier to point fingers,
Hmm.
like looking inwardly. So we
And become the victim. Yeah, and play the victim.
so it is about like taking accountability
Yes,
about
exactly.
all
Thank
actions,
you.
our behavior. There's no
Yes, exactly.
excuses. So I think that's the main thing that we can actually try to implement in our life. That hey, when I get a response from my child or a response from my spouse or someone else about my behavior, instead of like defending or pushing it away right away, like hey, okay, I will hear that, I will listen to that, and then I will try to stay curious about not necessarily agreeing. We don't have to agree with everything, but instead
Exactly.
to understand that it has an effect how we are in this world, how we behave, and that we have to take accountability and responsibility.
Oh,
Yeah,
I say this, I try to explain it to people and clients as well. So, like, so quite often, because it is indeed in a depth way so much about this taking full responsibility or as much as you can, and accountability on how you feel, the how you think, the things that all, even the things that happened to you is because of the action that you have had. That's the whole thing. It's still you. It's not what happened outside. It's the law of cause and effect. The cause is what happens to you, okay, and the effect is what the affects you. So that's why, again, it's I could go on and on and on and on.
yeah,
It's that, but again, what I'm trying to say, as you just mentioned, and thank you again so very much, even, is to let know to people that it's you have to take accountability. You have to be responsible of your actions, your thoughts. Yes, I'm sorry, but constant. It
yeah,
has to be a constant work. Is it might be at the beginning, at the initial part of it, very very difficult. Let's be honest. I'm very open to say it. It's true that like in everything we do, or or we all want to learn or acquire, etc., it is hard at the beginning. It's like you never went to the gym and then suddenly you just decided, which is a good thing, but the saying that you from now on you are going to the gym, but obviously it has some consequences, right? It's the same identical thing, guys. There is no difference at all. This is the initial part has always that difficulty at the beginning, but then it's so worth it, and it has so much more value adding into your life and within you, most of all. And that means also mirroring of who is around you, including your kids, your friends, your family, mother, father, whatever. And your world, it will be completely transformed. Like really, it's transcending. This is the most wonderful word, transcendence. It's wonderful, powerful, but you can have it, but you just have to decide to start it.
if I can add one thing, I think that
Yes,
in
please.
high stress modern life, a lot of us are detached from ourself, from our own
Yes,
feelings, from our
thank,
inner selves. And
thank
when
you.
people are walking around like detached from actually recognizing who am I, what am I feeling right now, who am I, why I'm not connected, because everything is so like, we are stressing and running, and I think it becomes even more difficult to like, I don't even have time for it, but I don't even
Yes,
know how to connect with myself. I lost myself
yes,
running. So, and that makes it the relationship toward our children as well more challenging as well, because if we experience our children struggling, and we try to figure out why, all the reasonable reasons to why, but we don't look towards ourselves. That's a bad teacher in school, or he didn't attend the football class, or there's a lot of external reasons to why my son is behaving like that right now. But we should also ask ourselves, where am I now? Well, then, how is my bond to my child right now? Is the bond between us, the connection between us strong? Am I available emotionally myself right now? And often we are not. Often we are not. And our children are like struggling by themselves all the time, feeling they don't have necessarily the words for it, but feeling maybe lonely and not seen, not listened to or heard, or etc. But I do think that this is something that is very important in the stressful life many parents or adults in general live today, that we kind of lose contact, connection towards ourselves. So we have to like refine that. And that could be like a scary thing. And also, we don't have the tools for it. So, but I think again, a lot of things, a lot of challenges, a lot of problems begin not to point finger towards ourselves or blame ourselves, but I don't even use those words because I'm not in this world for this way in this way. Blame is not good, it's not
Yeah.
useful. But we should be gentle, we should be empathic, compassionate towards ourselves, and just once in a while stop and reflect, tune in again, tune in towards ourselves, and then we become much more available to tune into our children as well, and actually try to put ourselves in their shoes and try to understand what are they struggling with right now, and what am I carrying, what kind of energy am I bringing home every day, so yeah. So there are a lot of like areas that we can look into, and but I mean, we're all human, we're all doing our best. But I
Yeah.
think that if we take the time and if we want to like change something in our family or in our own life as adults, we have to like set down the pace and be a little bit more available in our own lives as well.
Iben, you spent years, you have also mentioned this earlier, as a teacher before becoming a licensed psychotherapist. What critical systemic failure did you witness in schools that made you realize the parents were the ones who needed the structural tools, actually?
Hmm. Yeah, most children, they carry stress with them that they have picked up at home. They carry that to school, to kindergarten, everywhere. So it becomes part of them. And if they don't like have a place where they can express or be regulated, emotionally regulated, so they will bring that with them. I used quite a lot of time when I was a teacher, also outside school, trying to be there for those who needed me, and to also have like conversations with parents, and kind of being the one in the middle, trying to translate what's going on here and helping. So it is a lot of parents feel that if they put their beloved child into school, they will fix them there. They will take the responsibility of teaching them whatever they are going to be taught, and also handle all the conflicts between students, and or their own like meltdowns they will have, which often comes from like build up at home, and then maybe they will get triggered and end in a conflict with a classmate. So I always encourage that there's a very open line between teachers. I don't know how it works I actually developed a methodology about empathy for schools in Europe, 4 countries, an Erasmus Plus project where I developed, because I thought it was so extremely important that we focus on empathy. And Danish school dedicate some time with their as a class teacher, and I was a
Yeah, I
class.
have seen an article about this. Thank you for sharing, Iben. It is so important for people all around the world to know this about Denmark, that emphasize the empathy while they are in kindergarten, like literally. Yeah, yeah.
And empathy is decreasing in many, 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 and that is a huge problem as I see it. So if we can implement it in schools, as we do just a little bit in Denmark, we could actually make a huge difference. And I think that is, look around what's happening in the world, etc., etc. I mean, at the end, we want to provide our children with empathy, authenticity. Uh, you, uh, well, I have all my 10 principles, but we want them also to build an inner compass so they can they can manage this goals. They can experience hardships. They can experience, yeah, whatever life throws at them, but they will still remember that, hey, it's not me right now. It is things that is happening for me right now, but I'm still strong. I'm still capable. I'm still uh, in a situation where I can go through all this hardship and still continue and continue and continue and still be fine and still, manage life. And I think that is so important. And I can still connect with other people. There's so many people that are lonely. And if we don't, foster more empathy and really believe in that. So many people believe that, oh, being empathic is like being soft or weak. It has nothing to do with that. I'm a strong, strong believer, and that is what I always try to communicate, that we as parents, we need to have a frame. Our frame is like the walls of our home. So we as adults set what kind of values, how we speak together in our family, how we are around each other, how we solve conflicts, how we communicate, how we take responsibility, age appropriate, of course. This is the frame we set as parents, but inside that, we have to give a lot of freedom, responsibility as well for our children to grow up being capable of managing this life that they will meet outside home. And a lot of things are happening, and they will pick up a lot of information from everywhere. So a strong, strong relationship, an open communicative relationship where your child can always feel safe with you and trust you. And trust goes both way. So I trust my children, and they trust me. So it's like this is a value that we have in our family. No, but I do think that somehow often we forget that empathy or being at eye level and having equal adult child conversations has nothing to do with softness. It's not like being weak.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm not I mean, we can be very empathic. We can have really, really strong, open relationship with our children, but still set the frame. And that's my whole point. That is not a child responsibility. A lot of parents today,
Thank
they
you.
oh, we have to ask, hey, my little hobby. You want what do we want to have to eat for dinner tonight, or do we want to make your homework now or later, or you want to? We ask them too many questions, and we put a lot of responsibility on our
So you
children.
don't see this part as being a good part? Sorry, I'm just curious at this point, Iben, please. Asking too many questions, you don't think they're like is the good way of doing it, right?
Well, it's not like good or bad, but I do think because so many parents, I see this as not a problem, but more like a challenge right now. That because parents who might be has been raised by more obedient or more like
Parents,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
uh, trying to do something differently now. So they really want to be at eye level, but there's a risk in that. And that's why I say we have to remember that we as parents, we carry the responsibility of setting the frame, and what's inside that frame is the values and all that I said before. But the problem is that if we ask questions too much to our children about what to do, what to like eat, travel, homework, friends, whatever we come to with good intentions
Yeah,
to
that's my point. Okay.
but put on a little too much responsibility on
Really?
our
Okay.
shoulders, because if you're 5 years old, you don't know where to travel, and if you say like Greece or something like that, and that becomes like a really really bad trip.
So it's too much, right, Ibram? Because it's kind of also touched me personally. I'm not gonna make names, whatever, but I'm thinking while I'm asking these questions about a really, really dear friend of mine that has two kids, and I am also their godmother. I perceive that certain things that gives to the child too much responsibility, and it's a weight on their shoulders. It just pumped into my head while you were talking about this, and I would like her because I'm sure that she will see this podcast episode, particularly also because you are here. So I would like her to understand that, because it's the better for her kids, in order for her to understand, because she's not doing this on purpose. Like, she's aware that she's doing that, but she completely think that she's 100% okay with with her doing that. So please let her know.
Yeah, no, but I think that all the time it's been done by good intentions. I
Yes,
know
exactly.
that's what I mean, and I see that sometimes I know several teachers, and they struggle enormously in school with having children to actually respect them and listen to them, because they say, well, I choose myself, because they have been, involved in taking decisions. They have been like equalized so much with adults that, well, they don't really give, and it's more like, yeah, that's not the same. There's a risk in providing children all the time with that responsibility of taking like grand big decisions. So what I think we should be aware of, I think it's very positive that parents are trying, or your friend is trying to like involve your child in what is going on, giving them space and taking decisions. But those decisions should be like age appropriate. It should be the red or the yellow ice cream.
Mhm.
It should be like small, everyday decisions. You want to put your shoes on now or in 5 minutes. You set the frame, but you give like two opportunities. You want you want to brush your teeth now, or you want to start washing, something like that. Those small, not
Fragments, right? Like little fragments, you kind of mean in that sense?
yeah, but that's okay, because that gives a child like a feeling of they matter and they are listened to, and they also are in a position where they can take responsibility, and they don't distinguish between, like, is it like an ice cream, two different ice creams I'm capable of taking a decision about, or if it's a trip to, like, you want to go to Greece or to France or whatever. Because as I said before, if that trip doesn't go well, that's a huge responsibility on a child. Or if you know, but and I do think that when we give our children that much responsibility, when they are failing something, they start internalize themselves as, well, I'm not capable. I'm not good enough. I took that decision. It's my responsibility. But they cannot carry adults' responsibility. So as adults, we really have to distinguish between what are age appropriate responsibility that I can involve my child in, and what is adult responsibility that I carry and that I should carry. But there must be a difference, I think. I do think that often we explain way too much, uh,
Yeah.
and I think that can be very confusing for
Thank
children.
you.
To be
Mhm.
honest, and again, I need to have like concrete examples before. So this is like in the broader sense. I do think that because we want the best for our children so much, we explain to them from a very little age too many things. And very often, just a yes or no can be enough. And I do think also we should be aware of not ex- expressing too many things about our own opinion or what else they can do, and because they don't ask for it. So again, our
Ooh.
need more than it is our children's needs. So
For
what we
saying
yeah, what we can create consciousness about is that, or awareness about, is that only asking or only answering our child for that exact question they are asking us about. Or maybe it's just a no, no, you cannot do that. Not you can do that tomorrow, and then we can do this and this and this and this. But maybe no. So just a little tiny awareness of what am I trying to convince, or what am I trying to teach, or because very often there is a lesson in everything that we express to our children. But they didn't ask for it. Maybe they just asked for like a simple thing, and then we should just,
true. Ooh, that's so important. Thank you for highlighting that, Iben. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, again, as older they get, as more information we can add on. But again, we don't have to add, because they get confused. And I do think working with families, that when we give too many opportunities, we express too much, we all this actually makes us seem more unreliable, more insecure, more like we
I
must help.
agree.
Again, our frame must be very solid. I know this is what I stand for. This is how we speak it together in this family, towards each other in this family. This is how we behave. So if you don't behave, hey, remember, this is how we behave in this family. And if you have like, if you are sad or anything, you can come to me and I want to listen to you. So we can listen and we can empathize and we can mirror, but we don't necessarily have to provide them with a lot of lessons, like takeaways with that can feel very insecure for children. And I work with families every day and I see this pattern. That's why I
I
hope I
see
can,
it too. That's why I've been asking Iben again. Thank you.
yeah. So I hope I express it clearly.
What about that, the part that when a child asks for, oh, I need this one, to purchase something for them. Oh, but I need this one. Doing that very often when the child is doing that, because I'm curious again, even, and the parents practically always says yes. Do you really think that's a good thing?
Well, first of all, I think it's a very quick fix. Somehow, it's not. I don't think that we are teaching our children anything. I think the quick fix is within us. In that moment, we recognize the feeling of not getting what we wanted, and now they should definitely not have that feeling as well. But it's very, 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 very quickly it's disappears again. So I think that what a lot of parents forget is actually having like a conversation between the parents, if there are more than one, um, about how do we handle these situations, and what is our budget, and what is our values around gifts. So we also want our children to feel gratitude when they receive a gift, right? So if
Is
that,
it the kid? That's the whole point. Is it the kid though, or is it you?
but often it is in that, also because other opportunities has come up, and we are probably more capable of giving them gifts. But I think, what are we teaching them by receiving gifts all the time? What about birthday parties? And I think that conversation can be like really, really helpful to have, because a lot of the time we forget to have these conversations. How do we handle this? What how would we approach gifts? Is it okay that they receive gift from grandparents when it's not their birthday or Christmas? Yeah, yes or no? Or what if they are really needing anything? How do we handle that? Or how do we handle it when we are in the supermarket and they want this, and we're like tired and we don't want to say no because we cannot risk a meltdown? Often there's a lot of like rings that connects in such a situation. But I do think it's very, very important that we also, again, it's about a smaller frame. So if we just listen to our child's like immediate need, who are we as parents? How can they lean into us if we're like, okay, we do this and now we are doing that? And if they kind of take control, sometimes it's okay to say no. And it's also okay if they have like a meltdown. I can handle that. I can handle and I can stand with my no, and I stand firm in that. And that's very, very reliable. That creates trust. That creates safety towards a child. So in these situations, I think that there's some work we have to that has to be done before. How will I actually handle this?
What is the proper way, the most proper way to kind of react or act, the parents itself at that point, when kids over not just one for one time, or but like quite often they start, so it's like, oh, I need this one, and the mommy or daddy or go and purchase right away, instantly, that thing, gear, widget, whatever. So what is kind of the right, the most proper approach that they should have in
Yeah.
the regards?
So I would definitely reframe before I enter any shop. I would say, so if you go into this shop, we're going in to buy groceries, and you cannot have anything else today. Okay. So you set the frame before you do something, because that is okay. That's is can we agree on that? Yes, we can. Okay, that's good. And if you need anything from now from home, or if you're hungry, anything, we bring it home and we can have something together. So set the frame before and tell it out loud and make your child like, okay, that's fine. So if something else changes when you are in the shop, you can say, but hey, we made an agreement. I do understand that there's a lot of temptations here, and I can feel that way as well. But we agreed that this was the only thing that we had to buy today. And when we get home, we can sit and we can have like a cup of tea or something, or some fruit or whatever. I mean, you set the frame. You are a reliable parent, so you already know this can be a challenge because I mean, your friend is definitely not the first one experiencing this. Uh,
Mhm.
I think that we often again, and we are so stressed and busy, and we are and it's easier just to like not take that confrontation and not risking that scenario because we don't have the energy ourselves. So it's okay that you come with me and we go into this supermarket, for example, but but I say no, and we go home and we make dinner, whatever. This is the frame, and
What is the scenario happens very often instead of while you're outside, inside their houses, in that environment?
yeah, but if it happens, and your child is like having a meltdown inside the supermarket, you sit down and you say, "Hey, I understand you. You're very, very disappointed. You really wanted this, right? Yeah, it's okay. I will sit here with you and
Mhm.
stay calm and, try to breathe yourself and not get desperate because it's easy to like, oh, not now. It's embarrassing. There's a lot of people around us. Okay, then get it and then shut up. But it's much better and much healthier for your child if you stick with your plan and say, I will stay with you. I understand you're very disappointed. That's okay. But I will just stay for a few minutes here with you, and then let me know when you feel calm enough. And then they might run or maybe do a lot of things, but you have to like stick with it. Again, if you don't, you will you will actually pass on the control somehow to your child. And I don't think that is, I mean, we all do that. It's not like no one is perfect here and no blame at all. I really mean that. But the broader picture is more like, hey, if we give that control to them, if we show them that a meltdown or screaming or something like that actually works, so when will it stop? So again, they kind of feel they are in charge, not consciously, because all this they are not aware of at all. But that is just something that we have to be aware of. So it's not like sometimes it's okay, but well, in general, I would say that I would try to like set the frame before entering, and when it happens, and it often will, you can also think about it might not be the best time to do it. Maybe I can schedule my time differently, so I don't have to do this after work and after kindergarten, and we are all hungry and tired and need a pause. And if that is the only time where it's possible, you can also have like a little trick because you know that you can like at home bring like a little box of I don't know, raisins or something to occupy. I mean, there are different ways to the same goal here, but I overall I think it's very important that we are never afraid of, you know, meltdowns or breakouts or anything like that, because it is part of life and it is part of being a parent, and we have to like meet them with calmness and understanding and empathy.
Um, Thank you, Iben. I think it's so much needed for many to many parents out there that they might actually experience some difficulties from this regards. My dearest Iben, your work is translated in 32 languages. What is the universal human pain point you have observed that transcends geography, culture, and borders?
I think that the universal pain point is fear of not being enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that most of us carry that with us, that, hey, we are afraid that we are not enough, that we could do better all the time, that we don't trust in our own abilities enough. That I mean, fear is definitely something that is universal, but at the same time, I love the idea of us all being collected in the same, yeah, universal path. Because when I travel, um, I can see that it's the same issues, the same challenges, the same. We all want to do our best, and we all need to feel that we belong, and we all need to feel that we matter, and we struggle with the same issues. So we have so much in common,
Mhm.
everything in common, and I like that. I that makes me comfortable that we're never alone in whatever we are in. We have lots of people who can recognize the struggles or the beauty of life yeah, that we are in. So I created that app because I thought that it would be I really like to share, and I think that very often also psychological knowledge and that should be accessible in the moment, not necessarily in therapy lessons or something
Mhm.
like that.
Good
So
point. Yeah.
I think that people write to me. There's all the 10 principles in the app, that are the Danish parenting principles, 10. And then I also have like a mailbox episode where parents they write to me about their daily issues or what comes up for them and what they really want my perspective on. And I use a lot of time on that and really try to not give like quick fixes or like this is only like there's only one answer, but I really want to make parents reflect more than anything else. And I find that very meaningful because it is everyday problems or challenges or questions that comes up from parents, and it can be like wounds that we carry with us and we pass on to our children, and it can be like yeah other daily concrete examples.
It's only in Danish, or they can choose from English to Danish to many other languages, or
Oh, that's a good question. It is in English. Everything I have done, I've never well, I've written one book in Danish. Otherwise, I've always started writing all my books in English. So the app is in English. I
Mhm.
would English, but I know that the technical team behind they are working on translating, making it possible to translate into different languages.
Thank you for yeah, for saying that, because I think it's very much important for many other persons that from
Yeah,
many other countries, to let them know that at least at some point they will have this availability, this option as
it
an
will
option. Yeah.
it will come, and I'm looking forward to that because I can see often it is
The need of it, right?
all over the world. Yeah.
Even so excited about this question. Your insights have been featured everywhere, to the Times, until like the also to the Wall Street Journal. Even like I mean, it's like it's wow. How do you ensure your nuance, though psychological messages don't get diluted into the superficial sound bites of the by the global media markets? Mm.
I don't think much about it,
Okay,
uh,
that's
and,
curious.
and I can't, control what is happening, but I can stay
Right.
and true to what I do. And yeah, I only use one channel, and that is Instagram, the Danish way. And I try there to of social media besides my app. Um, but I know there's a lot of things that I should do differently, perhaps. But it has brought me where I am, being who I am, and I don't know how to do things differently. So what happens out of my control, yeah, I don't have any control over.
For the exhausted, burnout parent listening to us in this podcast episode today, who might feel like completely overwhelmed, what is one internal story they need to stop telling themselves today?
It would probably be that senses would probably be that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough. So that would be that, but I would replace it with I have trust in myself. I am a splendid, perfect, fantastic, lovely parent or human being. I'm not alone. I think lots of people feel kind of lonely, and it will be okay. Everything will work out.
Definitely. Iben, when a family successfully implements the Danish way, what does the transformation look like 20 years down the line when those children may become leaders for themselves? I'm very curious because I know how it works in Denmark, how leaders are, and leadership is seen, perceived.
The goal is not obedient children. The goal is adults who know who they are, adults who can think critically, adults who can build healthy relationships, adults who can lead without dominating, adults who trust themselves and care about other people. So when we raise children with trust, empathy, or authenticity and responsibility, we are not only shaping a family, we are shaping the kind of society those children will one day create.
I have built two different pools on Rewire to Rise Beyond the Mindset for this specific podcast episode. For people to, answer or respond to just two simple questions with a couple of answers as options. So I would like you to reflect upon and tell me what you think about in base of the results that I have had from them. The first question was asking this: Denmark is ranked the world's happiest country, but what is the real psychological secret behind the Danish smile coating? And I gave them four different options as answers. One was the pressure to look happy. Two, deep psychological safety. Three, embracing our imperfections. And fourth, choosing slow, simple Hygge. The one that actually was the highest rank was deep psychological safety with 44%.
Yeah, I think that as well.
So you think it's reasonable from that point of view?
Yeah, I think that if you don't feel like deeply safe where you live and have trust in the system and the life around you, you can't really function optimally. So I do think that it matters a lot. But I do also think that people not experiencing the same kind of safety as I live here in Denmark can still create like a safe family. And I think that's very, very important to take with you, that safety is also something that you create in your family. And most of all, having a home where your children can always allow themselves to be themselves, but also come to you with whatever they have in their mind, whatever they struggle with, not being judgmental, but more being curious, being a safe place where blame and really live, but where they can cope with everything, and that is okay. That is a safe place as well.
And the second poll was asking the following: what is the biggest roadblock preventing modern parents and leaders from raising resilient, anxious slash or free generations? So again, they have had 4 options. The first one was the pressure to be perfect. The second one was algorithm distractions. The third one was overprotecting from failure. And the fourth one was untreated personal burnout. And here the highest rank was the last one, untreated personal burnout, with 60%. What do you think about it?
Yeah, perhaps the 2 last ones. I mean, that is a difficult one. Yeah, but I think a lot of these connects actually. It can be very individual when I speak with people that wants to do something or to be aware of what they can do and what they can be aware of. Of course, we as adults, our own internal system matters a lot, hugely. Of course, if we are in alarm all the time, we cannot really be present. We cannot focus. We cannot be the parent that we want to be. I don't think I'm not sure the perfect thing, because I don't know what perfectionism really is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very individual, and I'm not. I don't believe in that myself. I know that a lot of people aim perfectionism, but I don't think it exists. I mean, as long as we do our best with whatever resources we have available within ourselves and in our external life, that must be enough. So I don't know if there's a single answer or correct answer to this. I think it is very individual,
Yeah, definitely.
who we are and lenses we are looking through, and how we approach life and how we approach challenges, but also how we regulate ourselves,
Oh,
how we set aside time for ourselves to, recognize our own feelings, our own, emotions in how am I doing right now? And, I, before we enter the kindergarten or picking up our children or going home, meeting our children, we can just sit 2 minutes in our car or on our walk at home and just like, whew, just make like a status on how am I doing right now? And can I leave whatever I bring with me right now, just here, and then refresh myself and then inside. It's sometimes it's also a matter of stopping and
yes.
just giving ourselves just that minute to
Just breathe, literally just breathe, literally in that sense.
but also choose. And now I'm leaving this behind. I want to. I choose to
That's so important, Hygge.
home with good positive energy. But very often we forget that. We don't move because all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
1 minute where we're like, okay, cool. And now I want to meet my children. I want to meet my spouse with like good energy, like positive energy. I want to see the positive in life. I don't want to look for all the
Well, when you look at towards that path, that's for sure that you are gonna find something. I mean, it's take it logical. You look towards that direction. Obviously, you see what is in that direction, right? How can you see, other paths? It's
Exactly.
impossible. Take it logically.
And we know that energy is captured by other people. So if we choose like leave this like stressful energy outside the door and we just like cleanse ourselves somehow, and it's not like have to be positively or like
Yeah,
but more like hey, I wanna look through
a
positive.
different lens,
I
like
wanna
say.
bring in some good energy because
Yeah,
that will they will grab that positive energy, and that's more much better. So I think we can do a lot, but I don't think it's simple. I think life is
yeah,
complex.
yeah. It is.
Mm.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Even if someone is interested to read your books, where actually they can find it, they will absolutely have all the details in the description of this specific podcast episode. So no worries about that, guys. You are gonna find it there. But either way, I would like you to kind of also verbally your stated where actually they can find your books.
Yeah. I think if well, first of all, you can visit my website,
Mhm.
ebensandahl.com. There's a place called Shop, and down there you can see a lot of translations, and there should be a link to each of the books there. Also, I think on my Instagram, The Danish Way, there should also be some links where you can find the books. And but also, of course, if you search on, I don't know, Amazon or other places where locally where you buy books, you will definitely find them, and you can search. Well, in your own language, or maybe search for my name or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, Otherwise, yeah, you can find my app as well, also on my website. I don't
So
really
if
know.
they want to reach out to you, where is what is the best way and or fastest way to find you and connect with you on the website, Eben, or
Yeah, no, on the website they can connect with me and sign up for my newsletter, which comes out
okay, good to
every
know.
every second, and I write. I use quite some time to write something I hopefully meaningful.
Mm,
I will also sometimes link to books there, but otherwise it would be on Instagram, The Danish Way,
mm,
and you can also write to me if you have like a mailbox question on info@ebensandahl.com, and then I will not necessarily answer in the mail because I could get quite a lot. But I will bring it to my mailbox episode in my app, and then I will answer there.
Eben, thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel very, very grateful that I'm here speaking to your audience. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
You are so very welcome.